welcome to NEK-TV Rocks. And my guest today is Jessica Reilly, and you are from Pope Memorial Frontier Shelter, Animal Shelter. It's fun reading it on the logo, and it's a great logo with the paw print in the middle.
Yeah.
So thank you for dressing
You're very
to fit
welcome.
the show. How long have you been at the Frontier?
So I actually took the manager position at Pope Memorial Frontier Animal Shelter just under about a year and a half ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you hit the ground running.
I absolutely did.
And you're basically a facility that takes dogs, cats, and every so often something else.
Yeah, usually it's dogs and cats, puppies and kittens.
Yeah. How many do you have there?
So currently, we actually are doing very well on kitties. Last year at this time, I had 100 cats and kittens. There was a complete crisis. And it is kitten season, so keep this in mind.
I know.
But we are right around 40 right now for kitties and kittens. For dogs, I am at 14, which is capacity.
Yeah.
And that's not including, I have 4 puppies in one kennel. And one of those puppies was actually abused and came in with a slab fracture, which is a broken jaw. Yeah. So it was quick, get these puppies in, my emergency kennel basically.
Yeah.
And therefore I have 13 dogs, all numbered, on a wait list. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, I took in 2 Jack Russells that were living in a camper. The person, the living means, they didn't have anywhere to go. So.
Right. And as it gets harder right now with what's happening politically,
absolutely,
that has a big trickle-down effect on pets.
It does. And the problem even in our area is, since working there, for 27 years, I've been a vet tech at different, vet hospitals in the area. And now at Pope, I'm also understanding, right here in Newport, we don't even have a, homeless shelter. So unfortunately, the pets have nowhere to go. People are in tents.
Right.
Last, I believe it was June, I got a call and I had to go rescue a mama and 5 babies. And then another one that was pregnant, and I actually got her back to our shelter and bathed and everything else. We do our intake process right there now since I've been there.
Sure.
And she had kittens within 5 hours. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. How can the public, that's all of the rest of us, help? In part, we're creating the problems because we're the ones who take in animals and apparently take out more than we can chew or more than we can do, which is frequently not the fault of the person. If you lose your home or you have a landlord that won't allow animals, it's hard.
Right.
Having said that, what can we do to make a difference to help?
So one of the biggest things, I'll go back to, when I was a kid growing up on, vacations and whatnot, I got to watch The Price is Right. Bob Barker telling us to spay and neuter your pets. That's really a huge thing. People need to remember it's not great to breed, especially if you don't know what you're doing, all the complications and expenses. And there's so many dogs and cats across America that are in shelters that are wonderful. Do you know how many purebreds there are even there?
Yes, I do.
So it's awful. So that is our biggest thing. When you rescue this kitty, there's so many different organizations that we work with, for instance, for kitties, the Feline and Friends, they have, you sign up online in our area for $75. You can get your kitty spayed or neutered, rabies and distemper. You can't go wrong. So
right. You still have to come up with the $75 and you have to be able to transport your cat. Yep. Although Felines and Friends can help with some of that, and they do.
Exactly. And if you can't afford the kitty, we are always willing to take in the kitty. So,
yeah,
you know, but I get people do not want to surrender. They want to keep the animals, but then they let them outside, and then the neighbor cat, and then there's a whole thing. So we do actually have a program at Pope Memorial. You know, if something was to happen and, you know, your kitty was pregnant and you're like, I don't know what to do, rather than giving them away free, and you know the people that you're giving them to aren't going to spay and neuter, we have a Spay Your Mama program. And you basically let us have the mama and the kittens, and we will have the mama spayed and we'll take the kittens, and we will fundraise to do the spay and neuters and all of the combo testing and the microchip and the fecals and you know, the whole list of the things that we do. When you adopt an animal, you do get a lot of things done, and vet costs are really high.
I know. Tell me about it.
Right.
I have cats and had an assortment of animals over my lifetime. If you're going to do it and do it right, it's expensive.
Right.
And so is food.
Absolutely.
As it is for us. And it's great that you guys do that program, but if you're having to raise the money yourselves, as well as provide the service, that's tough.
It is. Usually 10 o'clock at night, I'm on my phone. It's like my time, and I'm thinking about what am I going to do for this next fundraiser. So what we're actually doing right now is I've come up with, as you can see, I have the hoodie on. Well, I know yesterday it was so cold. Today it's a little warmer, so we're actually going to be doing some t-shirts. That's one of our fundraisers. We have recently, because we've had puppies and kittens, we've been doing some puppy yoga in the mornings. That's been a great thing.
I've seen those. Those look like so much fun.
Yep. And we're going to extend that into one of my employees. Her mom is an artist, and she's been doing a paint and pet. That will be some things that we offer over the summer, which is a great thing.
So she will paint a portrait from a photograph or from the live animal?
With a pet, generally. So she actually brings one of ours. It's a corgi. Yeah. She actually will bring Gemma with her to the events, and then we have a bunch of kitties and whatnot. But yeah, we'll have over the summer months, we'll have puppy and kitty yoga. So
I can tell you how cooperative my cats would be with kitty yoga.
Right. Well, these cats, they're just like, you know, there's people, you know.
Oh, yeah, but that's really unhelpful for yoga.
Right. Oh, the pictures are great. So.
Oh, I'm sure they are. That really does sound like fun.
Yep.
And does that get you people who want to adopt or foster from you?
Well, it gets the community, and that's the big thing since I've been there. I'm really trying to get the community in. I did a Christmas event where we had Santa come, and you could also have pictures with your pets and so on and so forth. We did a bake sale, and we just did an Easter one where actually we had 2 Easter bunnies. So I had an Easter bunny upstairs for the children, and then after we had an Easter egg hunt, and downstairs you could bring your dog and you could have photos with the Easter bunny. Now, I did have 2 dogs that I did make sure that the owner was in between, you know, the Easter bunny and the dog, just because he was kind of
who wants a snack, right? Very one.
But yeah, no, that was a great event too. The weather wasn't as cooperative as we wanted that day,
right?
But for the most part, you know, it's a fundraiser, so anything that we can take in, you know, helps. And you know, we apply for some different grants. You know, we're, as you know, a 501c nonprofit. So, you know, Mary Kate, one of my employees, she has been recently applying for some different grants and whatnot. So we're hoping that maybe we'll get some, because we have taken a lot of abused animals in lately that really need a lot of medical attention.
Right. And that's certainly true for Friends for Life Dog Rescue too. I mean, I sometimes because I know quite a lot of those dogs.
Yep.
So, and I know the treatments that they've had to have. That's
Really is.
expensive.
It is. And Friends for Life is wonderful because they can also take the dogs because they go into actual homes.
Yes.
So they take the ones that cannot go to the shelter, that
Right.
won't do well in the shelter, which is great. So we are trying to work on some other foster homes as well, because we have such, this huge waiting list for dogs to come in. So recently I have had more people reach out, but the more foster homes that I can get, the better.
What do you look for in a foster home?
So depending on, their work status, how much they're home, if they have people that can come in, what do they have for animals? We provide the food, the vet care, everything. You're basically, fostering a dog. And if it's a foster fail, I'm okay with it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we have a whole application. We have an actual foster application.
Right.
There's not a lot to it. It's a matter of, do you, if it's a dog, do you have a dog run? Do you have a fenced in yard? Are you active? Different things.
Or would
like
you
that.
like a couch potato dog?
And I have some of those
I'm
too.
Sure.
So, but yeah, it's tough when you have a full kennel and you have some dogs that maybe their new neighbor that they just got 3 days ago bark and annoys them, and then their whole demeanor changes.
Of course.
But luckily this time of the year, my staff, we always do, we have a whole kennel routine that we do in the morning, obviously, and cleaning and everything else. And then whoever the dog attendant is, they'll go out after lunch, and all the dogs, like a beautiful day like today, they actually do some basic obedience with them and just, make them feel like, they are loved. I mean, we all obviously spend time with them, but just going out, playing ball with them for a half hour, letting them run and just be a dog, lay in the sun, things that dogs appreciate.
Your purpose is not just to contain.
Exactly. And we have so many wonderful volunteers that come in for the dogs, because we have the nice trails out back and they get walked and they really look forward to it.
Right.
They can't wait to get the harness on,
Sure. Is that another area where you'd like more volunteers?
Yeah, we would. With the actual dog volunteers, dogs are not like cats, as you know. Certain dogs, if, some people, it's not about being a dog lover. It's also about having some experience and how to read dogs and so on and so forth. So we do have, you do watch a little video and, we kind of get to know you. Like I have some newer dog volunteers where they come in and they just help make Kongs, and then they go out and they, may walk one of the dogs and, just be its friend and, pet its head and scratch its back and, make it feel loved. So they're all very spoiled. Yeah.
Do you do any of the events like at Tractor Supply where there's a sort of meet and greet?
Yep. So Mary, one of my employees, recently over the winter. So her and her mom are wonderful. And they actually are fostering Sky, one of my dogs right now. And Mary went to Tractor Supply and led an event there. And we had, you guessed it, puppies then too.
Of course.
So I think we had lab hounds then. So yes, she brought 4 dogs there, and they did do a whole event there at Tractor Supply, which was wonderful. So anything that we can do to get our name out there and have people actually go on our site and look at all these dogs, and then it has a whole written, history of the dog and if they're good with cats and kids and other dogs. And
there's a lot of work to provide that kind of assessment of a dog. I mean, you're test driving them with kids, you're test driving them with cats.
It is. And some of it's unknown at first.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course it is.
It's trial and error. So it's also, that's why, people really need to know the signs of even meet and greets. So when we're adopting a dog out, they have to bring their dog. So you have to really know what you're doing. And we always have at least 3 people because it takes a lot.
Yes. Yeah, I sometimes watch people out and how their kids approach animals. And it makes my hair stand on end. But they don't know, apparently.
Right.
And then the dog gets the blame when the dog snaps.
You're right. So that's one of my biggest things. So certain dogs, we might have on there that 10 and above. And then our meet and greet actual process is the time that we all really spend with the people, getting to know them. They may say, I don't have another animal, but guess what? Her granddaughter comes over with her golden retriever.
Right.
Who doesn't like female dogs? So we find out all of the things. There's a whole checklist that we have to go over.
It's a lot of area to cover.
It is. We usually spend a good hour with the people coming in to, view the different dogs and whatnot, and try to ask every question that we can. And a lot of times we have them come back, and then when we're finally comfortable, then we go from there. And with cats recently, last year at this time, as I said, I had 100 cats. I have offered the foster to adopt program with cats too. I kind of feel like you go in, say you're buying a new car, you might want to test drive it before.
I would, definitely.
So it does. We always have the animal rule, as you know, having kitties, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. So I do give them a couple of weeks to make sure that, say it's a kitty, that just came in as a stray. We don't know a lot about it. Right. I do actually offer that program to local people and whatnot.
It sometimes takes 3 months before the cat comes out from under the bed.
Yes. And, we also, because of Feline and Friends, we have taken some from there that have been in different hoarding situations. And we're doing really good with all of our volunteers coming in and working with these kitties. The last group, I'm down to 3 that are, not as skittish that you can, be in the room, and now they're coming out and they're not hiding anymore. It takes time.
Yes, it does.
It really does.
And particularly for cats who have had a history of not being successful around humans. So there are some pretty mean humans out there.
There is. And actually today is a perfect example of that. I have a kitty that, if anybody follows our page, Scarlet. Scarlet has been there a couple of years. She's a tuxedo kitty. And she's kind of like a Edward Scissorhands, where she's fine. Well, Jekyll and Hyde, but yes, she comes out with her little claws. So she can be fine and she's loving and whatnot. I have one of my wonderful volunteers who has helped tremendously in so many areas. She's also my artist. She's actually working on the hallway as you go downstairs to the additional kitties. And she is going to bring Scarlet home today to put her in a room quietly and see if, because she gets overstimulated with all the other cats, even in her own enclosure. Can she do okay? So she's actually taking her today. So I'm hoping, and it's going to be a foster, so I hope that works out. But yeah,
it's a long process.
It is.
I have cats. I've always had cats. I had a cat living in our garage for roughly a year before he moved in. It was on his schedule. And it had to integrate with the regular cats too. And there's another one outside now who is finally coming up close enough that he will take food from me, from the dish. I mean, I have to put the dish down and then I step back politely. And he now is coming to greet me with his tail up. Oh, we're getting there.
That's great. No, and as you know, it takes time.
Yeah. But he's a bruiser who's been out in the streets probably for several years. He's in good shape. I mean, he's being covered in that way. But it's not ideal living. Right. And it will slowly change.
Right. And that's the thing. As long as the kitties are getting fed.
Right. And they've got somewhere to shelter.
Right.
And he does.
And Feline and Friends, again, they'll go in. Right. And they'll, depending on the weather and, as long as you would keep the kitty there, they'll, spay, neuter, and vaccinate, and
He's
then release. That's
wonderful. I know.
Well, he probably was an own cat at some time, and he was done.
A long time ago. Right. Yeah, exactly.
We have that happen every day.
Yes, I know. So what else can people in the Newport, Orleans, Barton area do that can be really helpful?
So volunteering, you know, come to our events. And the big thing is, you know, if you could open your home up to fostering the dogs, or if you know somebody that's looking for a dog, or, you know, anything like that, we have a whole webpage where you just go on and you tell us, you know, when you could come volunteer. You know, we have a whole cat routine that we always need help with.
Right.
You know, some people might be like, well, I don't really have a lot of time, but I could come in at 10 for an hour and do dishes. Well, people don't realize, you know, when we have 100 cats and 14 dogs, I mean, you're talking 114 dishes.
Right.
And that takes a little while.
Yes, that's not a 20-minute dish rinse.
Right, exactly. And then they should be dried and put away. But we have a, you know, whole routine that we do. But those are the biggest things. If any way, you know, if we're doing a hoodie, you know, fundraiser or whatever, that you can sponsor us in any way, that would be wonderful.
How do people find out about it? I know about some of your events because I see stuff being posted, but you've just mentioned some that I knew nothing about, and I'm pretty well informed.
So our Facebook page is usually our communication page.
Okay.
And when I do a fundraiser, it will be posted on there. But just recently, Mary, one of my employees, she is actually reamping our webpage, and we actually have an event page on Pope Memorial. It's in the process.
Okay.
So we will be posting all of the puppy yogas, you know, all the different things that we're going to be doing over the summer, and the dates and the times, and, you know, their sign-ups and everything else. So, yeah.
And you charge for all of these events, or some of them?
We do. They're by donation generally.
They should be, Yeah, because you're doing it because you need to raise money to feed and take care of.
Exactly. And just getting the community in is a big thing. You know, I think during COVID, it was the time. We won't get into that. But, you know, it was even a really tough time when everybody did get an animal.
Yes.
And then
what? Right.
Well, and all the dogs, they are under socialized. And then after COVID, well, guess what? Everybody had to go back to work. And then the dogs were surrendered.
Take care of the dog, right?
Exactly. The cats are a little different, but
yeah, that was a mess.
Absolutely.
It really was, and everybody was cheering because, you know, everybody wanted a dog.
Exactly, and I saw it at the vet hospital too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully, we have learned from that particular screw up, because everything about that was a mess.
Absolutely.
We're still looking at the results of that with the schools.
Well, exactly. The children, everything else.
Yeah.
Right.
So now everybody's being re-socialized.
No, it's true.
It is. So you do hoodie and T-shirt events, or is that an ongoing thing?
We have some at the shelter right now. So we actually have a rack right when you walk in. And we still have, which I don't think anybody probably needs one now, but you never know, it's Vermont. We have some beanie hats and some toques that have our logo on it.
Sure.
We have some bumper stickers.
Yeah.
We have some lovely bags that Elias Spates has made, and we're selling those. They have dog bags and cat bags and paw prints. Actually, when I leave here, I'm picking some more up from her. We're selling those. We'll have some T-shirts. And then, you know, at 10 o'clock at night, I'll come up with the next event or the next fundraiser.
I mean, Elia has a more than full-time job, so if she's doing bags.
Yep. No, she's wonderful.
I think there's a lot of you who are overachievers.
And actually, I have a very sweet lady that pops in, and she grabs all of the fleece from Joann's, because Joann's, I think it's almost done. They're going out of business. Right. So our kitties and dogs love the fleece blankets, and they're so easy to wash because, as you can imagine, we have so much laundry.
Yes.
So she actually donates it, and then we have the junior high comes in, and the Interact Club actually takes them and they sew them, then they bring them back. It's wonderful. So
at one time you wanted old sheets and towels. Do you still?
We have an overabundance of things like that. We actually have it all packed away, like downstairs. We do use those for when kitties come in and they don't like other kitties, but I have an isolation room. So when it actually, a kitty comes in, there's a whole process. And now myself being a vet tech, I can actually do, we call it protocol there, where I combo test them for feline AIDS and leukemia. You know, we scan for a microchip. You know, I can do a fecal in-house, dewormer, flea tick, all that stuff. So, yeah.
What do you do with your cats who are FIV positive?
So actually, it used to be, unfortunately, things, you know, they would euthanize. Well, now, if there's a healthy cat that has FIV, which if people don't know what that is, it's actually feline AIDS. It's through bite wounds generally.
Or maternal.
I actually I have a relationship with NCAL, which is North Country Animal League. And they have a whole FIV, like, I don't know if it's a wing or, you know, adoption process. So I actually do all of the vetting and then they take them in.
Great.
Yep. And then they place them. And if I know of somebody, I'll do the same. But they are not euthanized.
Good.
Yep.
Good. I have had cats that are FIV and cats that have been leukemia positive. And they have been integrated with other cats because you don't always know at the time.
Right.
And if the FIV cats keep their teeth to themselves.
Right. As long as they stay indoors and they're not transmitting to others. Yep. Absolutely.
Right. And neuter and spay. That's the other biggie.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it is complicated, and it's fortunate that you can do some of it in-house.
Yeah, no, the nice thing is, you know, being a vet tech, you know, I can do the vaccines. Unfortunately, the rabies has to be done by a veterinarian. So we do use the area veterinarians. And also Dr. Danielle Tien, she worked at Derby Pond for a little bit, and then she transferred over to Kingdom Animal Hospital. Recently, she did a rabies clinic with me. I did it in March, and, you know, we had a lot of people from the area come in and, you know, vaccinate their dogs and cats. I mean, we need rabies vaccines at the very least.
Yeah.
So it's a low cost one. But she came in a couple weeks ago and helped me do exams and vaccines on a bunch of different cats. So, which is nice.
Yeah, and why do they make that particular vaccine so complicated for you? Because it's given the same way as every other vaccine.
Because if you get rabies, there is no...
I understand that.
So
I do
a
understand
vet has
that.
to do it. Yeah.
Great. So,
yeah.
yeah.
There is no cure, unfortunately. And that's the big thing, you know. On my intakes, there's all these questions that I ask about cats, and people will say, well, my cat's an indoor only cat. It doesn't need a rabies shot.
Oh, yes,
it does.
do.
Because actually a cat bite is way worse usually than a dog's. So, but.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, we like to think that a lot of the diseases are no longer around, but it's not true.
Right. Now I can tell you that because of, you know, the different people going around and doing like the Feline and Friends, leukemia, you know, when I worked at Derby Pond for 20 years. And when I initially started there in 98, there was a lot of leukemia, and we would have different farms that had it, you know, different streets, the whole street had it, and there was dying cats everywhere. And now it's rare. Yes. And that's what we need. So now if we can just work on the spay and neutering, then.
Yeah, and that's an ongoing thing. I know for when I first moved up here, I was involved with Felines and Friends, and we were going neighborhood by neighborhood, knocking on doors, spay and neuter, and it really prevented a lot of unwanted kittens.
Right, it's education.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when the organization moved on to a different town to do the same there, you saw kittens gradually creeping back up. It's a constant. It's not just...
Well, everybody thinks it's cute to have their cat have kittens.
Well, just let her have one litter. No.
Right.
It is cute. They are gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But the thing is also when you rehome or
That's right.
whatnot, make sure that they're going to follow through with spaying and neutering. So,
And one cat, as we know, can have hundreds of kittens.
exactly. They really can too.
Yeah. It's a horrifying thought.
And over the years, I mean, we have seen many cats come in, believe it or not, and actually need a C-section. So it was a life or
Yes.
death. Right.
Yeah. No, it's a challenge. And dogs too.
Absolutely. Especially with breeders, they know with, Frenchies and different, Bostons, the way that their heads are, you know what, they're probably going to need a scheduled C-section, depending.
Puppy farms, it's so sad.
It
And I'm
is.
sure you see a lot of the casualties of that.
Since I've been there, there has been quite a few over the years repeat offenders of some certain, individuals that just keep breeding and they're selling. And now there's been quite a few that we have shut down, and I am
Good.
very proud of that.
You should be.
And I had the last litter of puppies and followed through with them, made sure that the parents were spayed and neutered and everything else. And that's what we need.
We also need some easier ways of getting places like that shut down.
Absolutely. Vermont needs to have some more, animal rights, we'll say.
Yeah. I mean, a person who can actually make their career animal rights, animal control would be really helpful. And
Exactly.
that's very hard, apparently, to get.
Well, it's town by town, as
I
we
know.
found out with,
Yep.
for instance, Buckethead. We'll
I
say.
remember.
Renee tried to do a lot of things with Buckethead. I volunteered a couple of the days and was searching for Buckethead as well. I went out with her, and actually we went out with their other dog that I took in through the shelter. So, yep.
Yeah. And hopefully that dog's doing fine now.
Yeah,
It's tough.
it is.
You're in a high burnout field. What do you do to stay sane? Relatively sane.
So, yeah, to back up, I went to VTC.
Yeah.
And I began at Derby Pond. It was a mixed animal practice for 20 years. Then there was new ownership. I went to Dr. Hunter's for 5 years. And then, therefore, I felt a need of a change. And the thing is when you would come into Dr. Hunter's, I would offer you, okay, would you like to do this, this, and this, Pam? Now I'm the voice of the animals.
Yes.
So I thought it was going to be easier. And in some ways, it's way more challenging because I am the voice, and then it's fundraising and,
Right.
doing all these things that we want to do the best of the best. And, I can't thank the community enough. Everybody, works together on so many different things. Recently, I call it the Pope Mobile, our 2013 van.
Yeah.
I broke down with it like 3 times. And I went around to the community and asked, could somebody, we're going to have to fundraise. We needed another vehicle. So I went around and with one of my board members, Vinny, and Mary Kate, another staff member. And, we had a good amount of people that, helped us out. Taylor Moore Agency was one, and another big sponsor, a local gentleman and friend of ours, Lee LaFlamme. He gave us money, and Todd Ziegler, he's a longtime sponsorship. So between that and Mr. Pope, as you know, it's named Pope Memorial Frontier Animal Shelter. He happened to call, which I have established a relationship. I try to not email him. I try to send him photos. Sorry. He's 97. So he likes written things. So I've established a relationship with him and try to send him photos of our events. He actually helped us out. So
great.
Now I don't have to break down with the animals, because you have to understand I would be on back roads, and there's no cell service, and it was awful. Yes, it was awful.
Yeah.
So we do have that in place, which is great. So we have a reliable vehicle now.
That's great.
But the community, I can't thank enough. Everybody has been very supportive. If I post on Facebook, hey, I'm low on dog food and cat food and supplies. Just recently, Kristen Griggs and Bridget Roberts from the Tavern. They organized a whole event for us.
Right.
And they filled Kristen's Jeep. It was fabulous.
I saw that. I came to that actually with food. It was fun.
It was wonderful.
It was fun stuffing things in.
And you know, them girls coming in, it was so nasty out the next day. We were trying to unload the vehicles. They ended up having Bridget's vehicle as well. You know, people really, you know, they love animals and they are supportive. So
well, on that note, we have to stop.
okay.
We can do this again, and maybe we could come out and film there.
Absolutely. We would love that.
That would be great.
Yep. You're welcome.
So
anytime.
let's plan on doing that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming in, and hopefully lots of people see this and volunteer and bring you food.
Absolutely.
Human and dog.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.